Hi guys, today's Friday morning. We just got here. We have been at the studio already for like a half an hour or so. And yesterday, before the day was over, I was working on this barbarian girl. I gave her a sanding all over her body. I had primered the statue with the gray primer, and then I sanded the whole statue everywhere, everything, to make sure that everything is smooth. Now the statue is perfectly fine and has no scratches, no marks, nothing. It's all corrected. And next step now is to go and re-primer it, and then it will be ready for painting. So this one here, it's closer to finish. Now this one here, it's the second one. I started already this morning, and I'm gonna keep sanding it, everything like I did with the other one, and the barbarian girl will be ready. So let me keep doing it here. Oh, that's interesting. What are you doing there, Aaron? Tell us.
I have to make another, I have to cut the barbarian's body up into a few more pieces so that we can print it. And
But who's this again?
this is the dead guy on the base for Aryan.
Ah, okay.
She cut his head off.
Okay. And after you finish cutting it, what are we gonna do with that?
I'm debating that right now. I'm thinking that we actually might want to print this on the Eden at like the lower resolution.
On the Eden?
Yeah. I don't know. It's more complicated than I thought it was, and to print it on the MakerBot, I'd have to, or my printer, the Airwolf, we'd have to cut it up into so many pieces that I just don't know if it's worth it, but I'll see. I gotta cut it up and see where we stand.
Okay. You see, he does a nice texture on the skin, but none of that shows up on the
Right.
final product anyway.
Yeah. It never does.
Yeah.
This guy looks like He-Man.
Yeah, it's true.
She killed He-Man.
It's true. It looks like him, man. Well, that's just that just shows you how powerful Aaron is.
Right, yeah. Yeah, why not, right? Kill He-Man. You killed He-Man.
You know what's interesting is that Alex Pereira, he sculpted the first Aryan way before. I mean, the second Aryan way before I started sculpting the first one.
Yeah.
And now we have changed everything, and it looks totally different than what he did.
Sorry, Alex.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes, man.
Well, that's pretty much what you do with my mermaids anyway. You're changing the whole thing.
The basic composition of the mermaids is really nice. And I didn't mess with that at all. And I really didn't change their anatomy. And honestly, you know what? The mermaids I changed way less than Aryan. Because really, like, all I did was clean up. I mean, there were areas like where you had transposed like the elbows, and like, you know, I just cleaned up the areas where the thing was posed, and then I just textured it. I mean, that's really everything that you see in the new file for the mermaid is really just texture just put on top of even the position of the mermaid tails. All I did was take a new like primitive in ZBrush, and I posed it over the mermaid tails that you already made, and then I just detailed them.
Mm-hmm. Well, but they definitely look a lot better now. Well, yes, it wasn't a finished product for us to start with.
Right, so yeah.
It's, it was just a work in progress, still in the very early stages, and never intended to be seen as the final product anyway.
Right. Yeah.
The molds are out of the oven. So here are the silicone molds we did yesterday. We baked them for 4 hours in this office oven. As I said the other day, this is not for food. We don't cook any food in here. We only cook silicone. Okay, so molds are ready for use now. We're gonna be casting. I haven't shown this type of casting yet, so it's gonna be interesting.
This is the tedious part, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Do we have the tape here? Oh,
Right there.
there's two there, right? Here, get another one. Actually, no, man. Oh, I got something there. Okay, so what we do now is we have to close the gap, the openings here on the mold, because since we cut it yesterday to get the master out. Now we need to close, and the way we do. Get this on. The way we do is with plastic tape. Again, I want to just point out that there are many different ways of doing this, and some people use rubber bands, some people use ropes or strings or whatever. I use plastic tape. I'm not saying it's the best way, I'm not saying it's the worst, I'm just saying this is how I do it. leave a seam on that hood, you can't fix it because
Detail.
the texture on that seam, that hood is really difficult to fix by hand. So well, I had made something really easy to fix by hand, but Aaron had to stick his nose on my sculpture, and screwed up with everything I had planned.
I seem to remember being hired for.
Oh man, you gotta think about the reproduction,
So in other words, that awesome mermaid tail you just did, you gotta just trash the whole thing.
Man, talking about that mermaid, how are we going to print that mermaid tail?
That will be easier. The reason the cape was so difficult was because of all of those. I don't know how to describe it, like in technical terms. That thing was made of like 10,000 different meshes, and every single one of those strands of fur was a different subtool. So it was like, so when we processed it and we cut it, every time there was like an overhanging piece of fur, it would clip the end off of it. So it would leave like gaps wherever that happened. With the mermaid fins or tails, I can just do a flat cut and there's nothing to interfere with that. And that's exactly when we print it, when we make the two parts together, the scales will line up perfectly. So, there might be like a tiny little hairline thing that we gotta fill in, but it's not gonna be.
We're not gonna have to re-sculpt the scale,
Absolutely
right?
not.
Okay. That's the resin, right?
Yeah, it's all mixed up. You can pour it. We think 500 milligrams for the whole thing.
No, the body, the torso will take more than that. Let me see. 700.
For both or for one?
On each. syringe that is working.
Does it work?
I don't know. Is it?
I haven't tested it yet.
Oh, I need to get some gloves on, man, before I start getting my hands all sticky.
Yeah, then you have to bathe yourself in lactic acid.
Want some? Grab it from here. Actually,
Make sure that didn't happen.
I shouldn't be doing this way on this body here.
Here's the hole. What you do?
I hate when this happens. Way too much. There's nothing crazy
You could pour this one.
I'm going to put this in the pressure pot. Now, the interesting thing about casting with this method is we have only 7 minutes after we mix the two parts of the resin together. Before the resin starts hardening. So So in 7 minutes we have to do the whole process. It's more there. Okay, that's it. Now we wait about 10, 20 minutes. We open that and we have the pieces cast and ready to process. I think I was able to match the texture pretty good, but we won't know until we primer and so we can see all the same color. But I think I was able to reproduce that texture very well. So I'm sending the barbarian girl, getting her ready for painting. That's the final sanding, and it's gonna be very smooth and perfect. After I'm done, and then we go into the second phase of the assembling, that it's print the arms, etc. before we paint. But now, what I will do now is I'm going to take a break of that, because that's really boring. Keep sanding the whole day, and takes hours. I had the camera off and I was sanding in it. So now I'm going to work a little bit on our Aryan too. So Aryan, we have finished printing the whole piece. We have made molds of everything, and I just did the casting for the last parts. We cast the torso and the left arm and the head, and so now she's completed. So, but what we still don't have is the base. You know, we didn't print the base, the digital sculpture of the base, because I'm going to be sculpting the base by hand with clay. Just like what Aaron did with the Death Dealer 3, he sculpted the base in wax. I will be sculpting the Aryan 2 base, not in wax, I will sculpt in clay, but it makes no difference. So, but then I realized that for me to sculpt the base, I need a figure of Aryan assembled and standing, so I can actually sculpt the base. I can't sculpt the base without the figure. And I was planning on not gluing the parts of the leg together, because it makes it easier for me to paint later. But since I need a body that is totally assembled, I'm going to glue it, and then when I paint, I'll paint it anyway. I mean, it's not that it's impossible to paint the statue assembled. It can be done. So I will then start assembling the Aryan right now, so I can sculpt the base. This super glue, it's very strong, and once it sets, you hardly can get it apart again, you know, unless you break it. So just super glue is more than enough to get those pieces together. Okay, so this is the first time we are going to see the statue assembled, fully assembled, after we finish the digital sculpting, of course. We saw her in the digital file, but we have not yet seen the actual piece assembled.
Are you going to see Mad Max this weekend?
Oh, definitely, yes. When it's out, today?
Not playing.
Okay. That's Charlize Theron in the movie, man.
With one arm. She's missing an arm.
One arm missing? Really?
Yeah.
Well, whatever. She's too gorgeous. So it's playing. It's out today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm probably gonna watch it tonight. After here. You know, I like the original Mad Max with
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. I like that whole series.
Yeah.
And this one looks really good.
Yeah, Tom Hardy, right?
And I like that guy too. Yeah, I think he's a good actor. Are you going to watch it?
And next, no.
Why not? Not your style? Oh, come on. Yeah, almost. I'm gonna put magnets in here for the torso. Definitely the torso I don't want to do it. I think the resin already hardened, and for the torso we cast a few minutes ago. Well, actually it was more than a few minutes, but it's already hardened. So I'm gonna go open those molds so we can finish assembling area number 2. Okay, so this is officially the first casting of the area coming out of the molds right now. After months of work, digital sculpting, and then mold making, printing, mold making, finally the payoff this year. Yeah. Perfect casting. It's still a little bit sticky on the bottom here. We need to cook it some more.
I mean, that mold done. Not mold, but that cast is no good.
No, it is good. It's just a tiny bit sticky. So let's keep open the other parts. This is the left arm. Get the plastic tape off. Here's the arm. The head. Yeah. So I have finished casting the torso and the small parts for the Aryan, the ones that were still missing. Now we're going to clean everything, and like we did with the other parts that we showed in the other movies, and then we're going to be able to assemble Aryan finally. Okay, I'm going to start sculpting Aryan base, and in order to do that, I don't need the whole body, because I just need the legs, so I can have the footprints. So we're going to use what we have here and start sculpting. We had made a decision because of costs involved and the size of the base and all that, we are going to sculpt a small base, and we will not have that dead body that we had previously thought about on the base, because this is a 1/4 scale statue, and just for you to have an idea, if we had a man's body here, it would be something like this big. Okay, something maybe a little bit smaller, but we would have something huge. The base would have to be big, and the cost would also be increased, because we would have another full statue to pay for. And then after we thought a lot about it, we figured that, okay, you know what? Not having the body will not detract from the statue at all. She will still be holding the head, and it's still going to be a beautiful statue. So this way we can have Aryan with the cape and the hood and etc., with a much smaller footprint for the base that is much more manageable in terms of space. And for the box size, will also be a much smaller box size. We won't need to have 2 boxes to pack this product, and it's also going to be much cheaper. So I believe that this way we can keep the price around $400, maybe a little more, a little less, depending on the cost that the factory will give me. But definitely that's what we're going to go for. So let me start sculpting the base just for her. And, I normally use natural clay. That's argilla clay, and that's a self-drying clay. It dries by evaporation, so I just need to wait, and then it hardens when the moisture comes out of the clay. So that's what I normally use for sculpting bases. I actually should be wearing gloves. I don't want to get my hands dirty with this clay. Okay, that's her trident. I imagine what you're gonna do for Poseidon's trident. Huh? Or maybe she borrowed it. You know, she borrowed the trident from Poseidon, stole it.
For a night out on the town.
That's a cool story right there.
Yeah.
She stole her daddy's trident, and she's, going around town, all powerful.
Using his power.
Yeah.
To seduce sailors.
Yeah. Well, she's the evil one.
Right. Breaking all the rules.
Yeah. So Aaron is sculpting the trident really right now. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick peek of the new trident he's sculpting for the mermaids, the evil twin mermaid. There you go. The idea here is that the 2 mermaids are Poseidon's daughters. So one is the evil one, the other one is the good daughter. And she has the trident that he is sculpting right now. Can you put a big one right there in the middle?
Sure.
So he's adorning the trident with pearls, and it's going to look really cool when it's ready. yeah, that's gorgeous. That's beautiful. By the way, we also will have Poseidon this year. It's being prepared, and you guys will see Poseidon and the mermaids at the Comic Con. Finally, we're going to be producing Poseidon. Finally, you know, we've been waiting for like 3, 4 years, waiting on Poseidon, and we finally have it. So now you guys can see why Aaron is working with ARH. Look at what the guy's doing. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, we gotta put some pearls on the handle too, right? Like little ones through here.
Oh, it's up to you, man. I love it the way it is.
Yeah, I'll do the other end and we'll see how it looks. Cause I like that.
The only thing I would suggest that we do is that we add something around here.
Right, yeah, because there's no transition. It just kind of ends. I agree. Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're going to stick the rod into something, it has to have like a sphere or something, base. Everything else is just phenomenal. And of course, you're gonna do something.
The barb on the other end.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like a fish hook.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Let's go back to my base here. Let's go back to sculpting hair and base. Right there. One thing I want to keep from my original concept for the base is that we'll have the 3 skulls here on the corner with the crow on top of the skull. This is something I will not change. I want to keep. So we got rid of the body, but we're gonna keep the crow and the 3 skulls. So let's start. Got my gloves on, and this is a very soft clay. That's why I choose to work with this mud clay or argilla, natural clay, depends on what you want to call it, but it's very soft, very easy to texturize, and I really like working with that. First we start with big chunks like this, just to define the size, diameter, and volume we want for the base. As I said, I don't want it to be too big. I want it to be small footprint, small cost, and takes less space in your shelf too. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, it looks cool.
It's too big? Too
The
small?
base? No,
No?
no, it's the right size.
Okay. Okay, so I'm happy here with the idea that I lay down on the base. I mean, for the base. It's not too big of a base. It's not too small. It's, I think, for the 1/4 scale statue with the flowing cape and the addition here of the skulls and the bird. It will work fine. So now I'm going to start the actual sculpture, by refining the sculpting on the clay. And for that, I have something very important that right now I don't know where it is. It's my pet rock. I can't sculpt the base without my rock. And it seems to be somewhere. I'm gonna have to find where my rock is. But as soon as I find it, I'll come back to sculpt the base. Yeah, it's right here. It's my rock. So let's start working. Well, for now I'm gonna close this bag again because, as I said, this is dry by evaporation of the water inside the clay, and since we're not going to be using it, I just close it and put it back in the box. I turn off the camera because, it takes forever to do this. Now that I have the rough shape I want for the base here, we have the footprint. Here's where the skulls will go. I got the rough shape with my pet rock here and the spatula. Now I'm going to start texturizing it to make it look more natural. So since this is a water-based clay, I'm gonna use a brush with a very soft hair, and then I'm going to use this one that is totally hard, and this one too, and a little bit of this. So there's a lot going on here. First thing I'll start is smoothing the whole surface with a little bit of water, but not too much water, because if I put too much water, the clay will soak the water and will be too soft for me to do anything. So I'm going to keep the amount of water in check and use this brush here to smooth the surface of the clay, making it looking more natural, like a real rock would look like. need a piece of cloth. Let me go get it. There are thousands of different techniques to sculpt rock, and each sculptor has their own way of sculpting rocks. And depending on the type of rock you want, there are also other thousands of different ways of sculpting. So for the rock that I am looking for here in the sculpture is more like a piece of a ground than actual rock. Well, there are rocks and ground all mixed together, so it's not like she is stepping only in rock. It's the base here is ground with dirt, mud, rock, and I'm even going to put some small vegetation here, and stuff. So at the end result will be really cool. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. As you guys can see, it's a very slow process, and I'm not gonna film the whole thing. I'm gonna cut now and show when I'm closer to completion. Spencer figured out how to fast forward the movie in the editing, so we can use that feature now. It's interesting. So I have finished smoothing the clay, and I got the shape of the rocks and that I want for the base. Now I'm going to start the third phase, that is the fine texturizing. So I'm going to use a set of those spatulas and brushes and everything to fine texturizing the rock and make it look as more realistic as possible. Okay, so I'm almost done with the base now, sculpting the base. It's been like maybe a couple of hours since I started working on this base. It's not done yet. I still have a few more details to add, but basically we're very close to finish. We have the couple of rocks and the dirt where she's standing on. Here I'm going to add the skulls with the crow, and then infuse a few more details on the base. But I would like to show what we have done already with about 2 hours worth of work. Let's keep working until we're done. take a look.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Yeah, it's just my epoxy is hardening. I'm running out of time here for the hair. Middle.
It looks like we've got a concept for Hades. Do you
Oh,
wanna
yeah?
you wanna
Really?
see it?
Okay,
Yeah.
let me see it. Oh, finally, yeah.
Well, it's obviously really rough. Needs
Oh, wow.
needs a lot of work.
I
but
like it. I love her. I think she's beautiful. Yeah.
very undefined, but
Well, that's just for us to approve the idea, right?
Yes.
And then if we like it, then he's going to refine
yes,
it.
yes.
Well, definitely, I think that she is perfect. I like the pose, very powerful and arrogant.
Right.
And that's the part of her qualities or her
Yeah, in theory.
in theory.
I mean, technically, she ate the pomegranate and she was kind of stuck with him, but we're gonna play with that a little bit, and
Is that will be the pomegranate?
that's the pomegranate. Yeah.
Pomegranates are red, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is this? I know this is the That's
bident, the
his
scepter.
bident, right?
Yes,
His scepter,
yeah,
okay.
right, yes.
and she's holding.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because we wanted to free up his hands so that we discussed doing a swap out right arm so that he could either be holding his scepter or he could have his hand kind of like near her butt.
What was the problem that we were having before when we were discussing the pose? Because
You wanted his left hand on the dog, and then it was a matter of what to do with his right hand, and we were saying if he was holding the scepter,
he would be behind
it
her.
would be interfering
Ah,
with her
okay,
pose. So
okay.
then we put the scepter in her hand,
Yeah.
and then we were like, well, then we can do a swap out arm or hand so that he's either because we're gonna split them up, right? We were gonna sell them separately.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
that if you buy him by himself, he can be holding the scepter, and if you buy them together, she'll hold the scepter, and you can put his hand on her rear end or
Okay.
whatever, like hanging off the flame.
Okay, yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I really like her holding his Bible. I
Right.
think that's great.
Yeah.
It's very
Right.
beautiful. I like the dogs too. The dogs are coming from behind,
Yes.
kind of behind the throne.
Yep.
I like the throne with the spikes and
Yeah.
but him, I'm still not very happy yet. I don't know what's going on with the right leg.
Yeah. It's very undefined.
We can't see it, and I
Yeah.
don't like the position of his head looking at her. I
Right.
think he should be looking towards the viewer,
Okay.
towards us.
Right.
So I like this hand here.
Yeah, I
It's
remember
good.
you said you wanted it by the dog.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think of the color scheme?
I don't like the green.
The green.
Yeah.
You want me to take some of the color out of it and see what it looks like?
Well, yeah. Let's take a look. I don't think he should be green, right? green?
I don't know.
I know it's a
probably not.
dark green, but
Maybe like a blue.
Poseidon will be kind of green or blue, right?
Maybe what we could do is like, yeah, obviously we want the armor to be very dark. It's Hades, so, but we want some kind of like dry brushed highlights on it.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe like a dark blue, maybe like a dark green, maybe dark red. I don't know. We can
Mhm.
figure something.
No, I understand about the highlights, but the idea I was going with the gods is that I would give each god one different color, you know,
Oh, okay.
and then
Alright.
if they sell well, we could have a collection with all the golden, all them
See.
golden
Right.
with armors. Okay,
Right.
so right now we had only two so far. Is Ares and Athena.
Right.
Athena we did it silver,
Yeah.
and Ares we did red. Now Hades I was thinking going black, and then Poseidon green, and you know, and so forth. And Zeus would be all white.
Yeah.
You know, kind of, which
Yeah.
one would have their own color? And so definitely I don't see him as being green, but I totally agree that we need a second color for the highlights on the
Yeah,
armor.
right.
Otherwise it will be just black.
Right. Well, that's something we'll have to discuss with him because he's obviously starting to develop a color scheme, so we have to start steering that. But right now, obviously, we need, if you're unhappy with the pose, we need to get that resolved because without that, he can't do anything else. Obviously, Hades is the main character, so
Mhm.
we got to establish exactly what you're looking for out of the pose. So I'm assuming we need to change his head position. We got to get both characters looking at the viewer because we're going to be selling this as a poster too,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So we have to establish the head, the direction of the heads.
Her, I wouldn't even touch anything. Just make her eyes looking down
Right.
And
At the viewer.
at the view.
Right.
That's perfect. She's, you know, very arrogant looking
Yes.
down.
Yes.
But him, we need a tilt on the head,
Right, yes.
so he could look at us instead
Right.
of looking at
He's
her.
checking her out.
Yeah, he is. I can see.
Yeah. And then we got to establish the position of this his right leg.
Yeah.
And do you want?
So did we? I mean, when you sculpted that quick mock-up,
Right.
you put him stepping with the right leg on something. I think it was
A
a
skull.
or something.
Yeah, right.
Are we gonna keep that, or both feet will be on the ground?
It's hard to tell. It looks like he might have put a skull under here. I don't know. It's just too undefined right now.
And for the ground,
Right.
that the throne will be on,
Right.
I think that it should be like a cave type of environment ground.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a throne room, but it's also the underworld. It's
Yes.
not a palace.
Right. Yeah.
So if he is the god of the underworld, it should look like an inferno kind of place.
Absolutely.
You know, with rocks and darkness, and maybe we could even have some the forms of bodies screaming in pain coming out of the ground or something. You know, not actual
Yeah.
bodies, but just the rock formations in forms of, you know, screaming bodies. or
Because we were
something.
going to do the same thing on the throne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like if he is, his throne is made of dead souls or something.
Yeah. I like that.
You know?
Yeah.
That green, if it's a very dark, like emerald, very dark emerald green,
Right.
maybe could work.
Right.
And then we would give Poseidon a aquamarine bluish color.
You know what you could do to test it? Do you have like a miscast of the Angel of Death?
I have a casting, yes.
You could experiment.
You mean with colors?
You know?
Yeah, you could.
That way, like you'd have a much more clear idea, like of what it would look like in your hand. I mean, you could experiment with any of these. Like, just take a casting that has armor on it and just play around with it.
No, yeah, well, I definitely have casts of tons of pieces. Yeah, let me think about this weekend.
Yeah.
At least about the colors
Right.
and
his pose.
well, the pose we already defined, right?
Yeah.
This leg will be stepping on something, and this will be totally down.
Yes. Yeah.
He's gonna be looking a little bit up and tilt the head to this side.
So that he's looking at us.
At us.
Yes.
And she remains the same, just change her eyes looking.
I actually like the way that looks. I like the red and the blue, man. I think that
I like that too. I like that too.
like a dark neutral blue and then like flames and blood, right? I don't know.
I definitely like the red.
Yeah. I think maybe the decision of the like highlights on his armor, that's something that you really should take a physical, you know, a casting that has some armor on it and play around and see what you can come up with.
Let me see, black on top, blue on top of black highlights fairly well.
And
You know,
yeah,
better than green, I guess. No, green also does well.
yeah, it's a preference. I mean, like you said, the green, like the dead souls on the Angel of Death, they were green, and that fits with the vibe of the underworld. But I think blue does too. Blue is like a cool, melancholy color.
You mean bluish, like with gray, blue?
Yes, it
and
would be very neutral, like dark blue.
like night blue.
Yes, yeah,
I think that would work better than green.
probably.
Because if we go with the night,
Yeah,
bluish, like, you know, darker, like a night, very dark night.
yeah.
There are always some hues of blue.
Yes, and I think the way these colors work, they complement each other very well. Like that orangey red and that like dark blue, I think that works. That looks really nice.
Okay. Yeah, I think that blue makes more sense than green.
Yeah.
Because green is Poseidon. That's the way I see it.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
aquamarine, blue, green.
Yeah.
And so we give him blue.
Yeah.
It's not taken yet,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah. Okay.
Cool.
That's nice.
All right. I'm gonna save this and forward it to you. Quick. So.
So we are almost done here. It's about 7:30 right now. We are tired. Today's Friday. I want to go watch Mad Max. I'm actually gonna go home, take a shower, and then go to the theaters. You know, relax a little bit. I think we worked hard enough today. I am not totally done yet with the base. There are a few minor adjustments, but we can have a pretty good idea how she's gonna look. Here at the back, there are 3 skulls that I added some rotten flesh on top of the skulls and some hair and stuff. That's going to look very cool. She's holding another head on her hand, and we'll have the crow also landing on the 3 heads in the back here. Arian, we're gonna have to do a few adjustments on her. Unfortunately, we think those legs are too long, and so Aaron is already working on reducing the legs. And we all like women with long legs, of course, but I think we might have exaggerated a little bit on the length of those legs. So we are correcting this, and we want this statue to be as perfect as possible. And so we're gonna have to, unfortunately, make new molds for the legs and make more adjustments and stuff. But this is all part of what we do. You know, we don't nail it in the first attempt. It's a matter of keep trying and keep improving into it, we have a product that we are all happy with. You know, it's very difficult to nail everything perfect on the first try. So we're gonna keep working on her until she is perfect. And here's the cape. You know, we can have her with the cape. We already assembled the cape. Yesterday I worked a little bit on the imants that we had here. We had some small issues with the imant that I already fixed by covering the imants with epoxy clay and then redoing the texture by hand. So the capes are looking pretty good now. And we're probably going to be making molds of that cape this week. And so this is a quick glimpse of Arian 2. Of course, she has a top. It's a removable top that, you know, like our products have, removable magnetic tops. And we're also going to have change your hand with a simple glove. What is that? Here. With the simple glove without the head, just in case people prefer to display her not holding the head. So we're going to give that extra glove for those who prefer not to have the head on her hand. So, but she's called Arian the Head Huntress because she is a bounty hunter, and she goes after the bad guys, you know, as you guys will see in the comic books. The comic books are coming along very nice, and the stories are really cool. And so for her to be holding a head, it's pretty much part of the story, part of the character. You know, she's, as I said, she's called Arian the Head Huntress. So another interesting feature is that we'll give an extra weapon for those for the EX edition. She's going to be holding a axe, so you can display her with the sword or with the axe. What else we have here? We have the scabbard. I have not actually cast the scabbard yet, but she has a second belt here. So I forgot to put the second belt on. Let's see if I can do it really quick. Yeah, so the second belt that I have not cast any belts yet, but holds the scabbard here. Oh, here, I have the scabbard. Haven't cleaned it yet. But. So she has the scabbard that goes right here, also attached by magnets. And that's it. So a sword and an axe with the belt, with the scabbard, the cape, and the head. We will still sculpt a second head for this statue without the hood. So you will be able to display her with the hood like she is in the comic book. She wears the hood in the comic books when she wants to disguise or be inconspicuous. She wants, you know, not to be noticed. She wears the hoods on. But then when she doesn't need it, when she's fighting or whatever else, she does not have the hood on, and we can see her just like we saw in the first statue with just hair. So Aaron will be working on the second head pretty soon, and once we have that ready, we also make molds, etc., etc. This statue, probably we are going to hold on for the pre-orders for a couple of months more, maybe, or a little more. I don't know yet, but she's not going to be going up for sale yet. No, right now, the Death Dealer 3 will be up for sale pretty soon, next week, and then we'll have the Barbarian, the Frazetta Barbarian, that Aaron is also almost done with, and and then we'll have the mermaids and Hades and all the other statues we're working on. But maybe Arian, we're probably gonna hold on to her for her pre-orders a little longer. Maybe to the Comic-Con or around that time. Okay, so we're gonna stop for now. We're both tired, Aaron and I. We want to go home. It's Friday. We're gonna be here tomorrow anyway. So show you guys more tomorrow. Bye bye.